Hello everyone, I wanted to make a video of the food forest planting. This is the new section, so it was planted in the fall mostly. Trees are planted in the winter, and it is now the very end of April, so we're in spring. This right here is a pond that is raised. I'll walk up there. You can see here it's about 4.5 feet deep. It has catfish in it. The ducks also love it, and I have pipes that come out like on both sides, and then this one has two ways to go, and I'll show you what kind of flow this produces. That's a lot of water. I'm not sure how many gallons per minute that is, but it's quite a bit. And what that does is whenever you open that up, it will run down, and then this area here is going to be planted with grass later, but it'll run down all of these diversions that are also sperms and swales, and just run back and forth through that whole area there. And all the trees that are planted there are planted on the downhill side, and they will get that water. Of course, I also have the standard drip tubing that I put everywhere. That's the way I water most of the time. Water with this whenever we just haven't had a lot of rain for a while, and we really just need to put a lot of water into the soil. That's when this pond will be used. The cover crops, which really are just kind of a way to battle grasses. It's worth noting how well the things I planted did on this hillside, with all the flowers and some nitrogen fixers and nutrient accumulators. They did that well there because that's new soil, and it didn't have a seed bank of just wild seeds sitting in it for years and years, and so there wasn't a whole lot of competition. Versus where I planted on normal soil, you can see that the grasses, the seeds were there quite a bit. Unfortunately, a lot of the area seems to have the grasses being dominant. Grasses are kind of what I'm trying to fight the most. I think part of the reason for that is we planted a bit early. I planted the first week in October. Could have waited a little bit so that the grass seeds would not germinate as much, because they like to germinate when it's warmer. But I didn't have a choice. We had a trip planned, and I had to just plant when I had to plant. Otherwise, by the time we got back, it would have been too late. It just didn't work with the schedule. But it did take decently well in certain areas, especially on the berms. And the berms, they've taken pretty well. And there's some benefit to having a lot of plants around small trees like that, at least the first year or two, because when bugs come in, if there's a whole lot of plants everywhere, they have a lot of options of what they can eat, versus if I were to come in and mow this down or cut back the grasses a lot, then the only thing that'll be left is my little tree that I planted, and the bugs will eat it. With that said, it is going to slow the growth of the tree, obviously, because there is more competition in the soil for root space and everything. But in this particular case, I think what'll end up happening is over the years is we will sheet mulch all of the area that is now grasses as these trees get bigger. This system is kind of the hybrid of the two systems that I've put in the last 2 years, and it's the best, I believe. I've learned a few things. Running these sperms and swales like this, where they are almost exactly on contour, I believe the drop from the top to the bottom on most of them is just a few inches. So you're creating some flow, but you're also creating quite a few pools of water. There's some areas where the berm is built up high enough that it floods all the way over to the back side of the other berm. Like this area, it's a very wet area. When that floods, this will all be covered in water. That's why we have a mayhaw planted there, that very small little tree there. Slow growing tree, but mayhaws taste good. Very rare. They're not sold in supermarkets because they don't pack well, but evidently if you have a homegrown tree, it's a pretty good deal. The last section of the berms and swales system here before the water floods out is this section. This section is designed so that it will completely fill with water before the water falls out and basically goes away for my uses and just goes out into the field. I try not to do that. Of course, during rains, that's going to happen if there's just a lot of water out there. I tried a new system of planting seeds in this area. It was a Insectopia seed mix that said to plant it really late, like in December. I did that. I don't think it's really turned out very well. I don't think I'll probably plant it again. But anyways, I tried. I know now for future reference. The irrigation system on this plot with the drip tubings, this one has a temporary add-on irrigation. It's not usually this much here, but it's very simple and very effective. From the main valve box, which is over there, it just runs underground PVC, and then it's just one main line with a small spur, but basically one main line that just runs, and at each section between the walking paths, each section that's planted, there's just one bit that comes out and it turns into polyethylene pipe here, and all the valves are all right next to each other. Put a water hose valve on or connector on one side so that I can add, supplemental irrigation or do whatever I want for a short-term deal. But very simple, maintains good water pressure across the whole system. It's a pretty good system, I think. So that is the food forest planting. I guess I'll call it 2015, since that's when most of it was actually planted, but we're in the first growing season now, and it's looking pretty good. So thanks for watching.